Welcome back to the Better Earth podcast. We got a really special podcast today with our President of Sales, Mikey Cavaleri, one of our founders here at Better Earth. And Mikey, what we're going to kind of do today is learn a little bit more about you, your story, how you got into solar, and what we're currently doing here at Better Earth. So introduce yourself to everyone out there.
Appreciate it, Ty. My name is Mike Cavaleri, head of sales over at Better Earth, also a co-founder and business partner of this gentleman right here.
Yeah, so, everyone's got their own separate story about coming into the company, and as our sales leader on the internal team, you've made the jump from the East Coast to the West Coast. You've worked almost every position, from just a setter to a door-to-door closer to an office leader, opening new markets. Cycling back, take us back to that kind of first day where you even learned about what the solar opportunity could be, and what made you interested in possibly looking at solar as a potential career move, but maybe just a breaking point in your life to do something new.
Yeah, so Zane, who's our CEO, obviously, he was working in the solar industry, and we had grown up together, and he was in Solar City at the time while we were at college, and I think like a lot of kids, I was in college, going to school, not sure exactly what I wanted to do, feeling lost, and I saw that he was having success in solar, and I reached out to him, and he told me about the industry and what he was doing, and it really piqued my interest, and I actually reached out to my dad. I was like, what do you know about solar? Because he's an engineer. And he's like, oh, it's the future, this, and that. So I started researching it, and I realized the possibilities of joining the solar industry, and more specifically, it was a sales role. So I started really researching sales and the opportunity that sales could do for you, and just learning how to actually communicate and learn that there's an art of sales, and everything you want in life, if you can communicate well and you can be good at sales, you can get it. And so that's what piqued my curiosity to join the solar industry. And I think that there was another quote that Zane brought to me, and he always brings it up with Warren Buffett. He said that the deregulation of energy is going to be the largest transfer of wealth in history. And so that was really interesting, and all I thought was if we could get even a little piece of that or be a part of that movement and that opportunity, it'd be a huge, huge impact in my life. And so that's when I actually decided to drop out of school and work with Zane in the solar industry, and we moved out to California, and I didn't really have too much information, not a lot of training, and all I got was an iPad and basically a quick little rundown on how solar works, and we just kind of hit the ground running and started going out there and selling it, and got the hang of it eventually.
Yeah, and you're not from California, right? Where were you from, and then where were you when you decided to make that choice?
Yeah, so I grew up right outside of Boston, in the South Shore, a town called Hingham, and I went to University of Tampa in Florida, where we're located right now today, and that's when I decided to drop out. And actually, it's a funny story because I tore my ACL at the time, so I was bedridden, and just having a lot of thoughts and really thinking about my life and what I wanted to do, and so that kind of piqued my curiosity. I think for a lot of people that have that point in their life, like what was my breaking point you asked, that was kind of it, lying in my bed, realizing I'm going to college and it's not what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to study, but I knew I wanted to be successful, and I got an advice from a guy at the Entrepreneurship Center there, and he said, if you want to really be successful, you got to get into the marketplace. I was like, what does that mean? He's like, you got to work. The faster you can learn business, the faster you can learn the skills in business, the better you're going to be long term, so.
That's super cool. You don't always hear that from someone at your university.
Yeah, he wasn't a teacher, so I'll keep it at that, right?
Okay.
He was a guy that came in to speak.
Got
was an entrepreneur, so he gave me that advice, and he told me, he's like, hey, don't tell your teachers I told you this.
From that date where you kind of made that choice, how long was it until you actually got to California and got knocking?
Yeah, so that choice happened, and then it was about 3 weeks later. I finished that semester. I went back home. I was supposed to have about a month to be back with my family. I got a call from Zane. He said, hey, we're leaving in 4 days. So I was like, oh, my God. So I kind of just bootstrapped it, told my parents, I'm like, hey, we don't have 3 weeks. I'm leaving in 4 days. My mom was crying. She's like, no, you're not leaving. And, yeah, that was it. So we got in a car, drove out there 3 days, and rocked and rolled after that.
Yeah, and that's a very common story at Better Earth. I don't know if any of our founding team is definitely not from California, and a lot of our top sales reps currently today aren't from California either. Did you feel like you had the backing from your family? And obviously, you've talked to other sales reps that maybe haven't. What have you learned kind of fast forwarding to being a leader to help with, one, making that choice, two, kind of dealing with maybe an objection from a friend or family member or peer that might hold you back even though it's something you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is where I resonate with a lot of people. When you hear about the solar industry and you hear about the opportunity, it almost sounds a little bit too good to be true. And I think like everybody, like obviously I believed in myself and what I was capable of doing. But there's definitely a lot of fear and anxiety behind the decision of, I've never been to California before. Never really been out west. and dropping out of school to go join an industry and do something I've never done before. It's obviously a little bit nerve-wracking, and you have some second thoughts. And so my dad actually, thankfully, was super supportive about it. He didn't even want me to go to college. He wanted me to take a gap year to figure out what I wanted to do. So he was super supportive. Not that my mom wasn't supportive. Obviously, she's a mother. Mothers want to protect you, so she was a little bit more anxious and nervous about it, me dropping out of school. And I think like a lot of people, I got a lot of flack from kids I went to school with. Like, I was partying a lot, not doing the right things in college, so nobody really saw me as a person of success. I was definitely a good talker. I was good at communicating with people, but I just wasn't doing a lot of the right things. So when I told people that I was making the jump, I got a lot of pushback on like, oh, you're crazy. Why are you dropping out of school? And I think a lot of people get that, whether they're leaving their hometown or they're leaving their comfort. It's like the crabs in the bucket analogy. When you want to go do something in your life and you want to go elevate, a lot of people that aren't doing that are going to take that as a sense of like reflection and say, wow, I'm not doing that. I'm going to kind of hold that person back. So I think a lot of people deal with that, but you just have to have that self-belief and understand that you do have a lot of potential, and the only way to exercise that is to get outside of your comfort zone and take a risk.
Yeah, and you said you went out basically in 4 days. Do you think some of that just like deciding factor, you had a lot of conviction in your choice? And did you really even know what you're getting yourself into, or was it more just that excitement that was the driver?
Yeah, it was just the excitement. I had no idea. So I started watching a lot of sales videos with Grant Cardone. I got the Cardone University. So I started just training and just watching it every day. And then I was watching, Tony Robbins, guys like Ed Milet, or I don't actually think Ed at the time, but Tony Robbins, Grant, guys like that on YouTube, and just getting super motivated and seeing these people talk about success and the action items. And the common theme that I got listening to them and other entrepreneurs was most self-made billionaires started at some point in cold calling sales. Most self-made billionaires were cold calling, whether it's door-to-door or picking up the phone and dialing. Like most self-made billionaires have done sales in a cold call approach. So I saw that and I learned about it, and that's what got me really sold in the opportunity. You talked about building the rhino skin. They said if you can do this and be successful at door-to-door, it's going to build up that muscle in business where you can handle rejection and you're able to do a lot of things. Because I think most people are afraid of rejection, and that's definitely what I was scared of. I had no idea when I was going door-to-door that I was going to get that much rejection in my face. It's just constant doors being slammed. And then the moment you get the hang of it, you start to really know what you're saying, you start to have confidence, you're able to use your skills and tactics, and then it starts to get really fun. So I'd say probably my first 2 weeks, I was struggling pretty bad. There was even one point where I remember being on the sidewalk. I called my girlfriend at the time. I was crying, literally. Like, we're working 12, 13-hour days. It's my second week. I don't even have any QLs, which is just a qualified appointment set, and everybody's closing deals. And I called her. I was like, I don't know what the hell I just did. I dropped out of school. I'm doing this solar thing. I'm going door to door. I don't know anybody. I'm living with this dude who's like military style, one of our other co-founders. I'm up at 5 a.m. working out, and then I'm working 13 hours a day. And thankfully, when I was walking by, this guy drove by that I knocked on his door, stopped, said, hey, you gave me a business card. Come back. My wife wants to talk about solar. Boom, in that moment, I got the deal, and then that's what really built my belief. And so I didn't have a lot of training. We didn't have a lot of tools back then. And so I think that's what's kind of built a lot of my drive for people when they first start, to build a lot of the training, a lot of the tools, and cut out a lot of the learning curve. So, yeah, we kind of just were given an iPad, and that was it. And then we got out there, and it was like, hey, give me your pitch. I remember the first day, give me your pitch. And I'm like, fuck, dude, I don't play baseball. I'm like, what are you talking about? What's a pitch? Like a sales pitch. I'm like, oh, yeah, my name's Mike. I dropped out of college. I left my family, my girlfriend behind, everybody I know to qualify homes for free solar. Are you interested? And they were like, oh, my God, why is this guy out here? So, yeah, it was rough in the beginning, but eventually got the hang of it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Some of the pitches obviously have changed monumentally.
Yeah.
And you brought up a lot of good points there. And it's like, there weren't really solarpreneurs back then. There weren't people to look up to on Instagram that had maybe worked in the industry for, a long time, or made a lot of money, or ran a big sales team. Now it's so much easier to be inspired by people like yourself and Zane and Chance and Marshall. We have a ton of them on our own team, and more information out there. What did some of those early days look like from, you kind of brought it up, 13-hour days. How many doors were you knocking? What type of team kind of atmosphere was there in learning? Or was it mostly like, no one really knows what we're doing, we're just here to get after it and learn on the fly?
Yeah, well, the people we started with, 3 of them had been in solar, and then 3 of them had been in sales for years. So I was the youngest person to start, and I didn't have any solar or sales experience. So I was surrounded by people that knew what they were doing. So when we got out there, it was kind of like, hey, we're hitting the ground running. And I got some training from them and learned, a little bit about sales, a little bit about solar. But it was a startup at the time. and everybody literally was from the East Coast, either Boston or Florida, and everybody did the same thing. They moved out there, and it was like, hey, we're either going to sink or swim. So everybody was really just putting in the work, and a lot of people were working by themselves, figuring it out. So there wasn't a whole lot of training, but the thing that was really helpful for me was the organization and the structure of everything, where it was every morning we were all up working out. Some people were meditating, some people were reading, and I started to get used to these habits that I wasn't used to. And I was like, man, I was really doing the wrong things in college. Like, a lot of the things I was doing were hard to quit, right? And I was like, I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to do, I'm not going to smoke. I'm not going to do any of these things. I'm not going to waste time watching Netflix. Like, I'm going to go all in on business. And so every morning at 8:30 in the morning, we had a meeting, Monday through Sunday. Every single day, we'd meet at 8:30. We'd get ready to go. We'd practice our role play. We'd go over wins. We'd go over our pitches. We'd all get together. We'd figure out where we were going for the day. And I didn't have a car for 3 months, so I carpooled. So literally, I'd pack my bag with usually an Uncrustable Nature Valley bar and a 5-hour energy and a water in my little plastic bag. And I'd throw it in a bush, and I'd get dropped off, and I'd be out there knocking doors for 12, 13 hours about every single day, yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
For the first 90 days.
Do you remember what types of products were you selling back then? What were the panels?
Yeah, we had for my first 2 years in solar, we had one panel, one product, and that was it. And that's all we knew. And we were selling a power purchase agreement. That was the only offering that we had. And people were like, oh, I want to buy it. And I'm like, no, you don't. At the time, I didn't understand the value of ownership and that the industry was going to head that way. All I knew is that, hey, people don't want to buy it outright. People don't want to lease it. They want to pay you less for their power bill. And so that's the pitch that I learned of, hey, you're getting it from source A. Now you get it from source B. We're going to be a better power provider for you. And you can actually get your energy from us at a lower rate per kilowatt. And we maintain it, service it, everything like your utility. You just save money every month.
Yeah, and what were you making on a typical average deal?
Not a lot, man. Maybe like $1,500.
$1,500?
Yeah.
When you do the math today, if you were just like a brand new rep coming into Better Earth, what does that equate to now working with us?
Yeah, it's like 3 to 4 times more per deal for sure.
And that's just at the starting.
Rate. Yeah, and every one of us that did it, so the first 20 people in the company, we all made 6 figures on an average of a $1,500 deal. So obviously some are bigger, some are smaller. But yeah, it's about 3 to 4 times more today.
That's pretty cool. What if you can kind of cycle back, what were the big objections back then that customers had? Because the industry was not as mature as it was today.
Yeah.
You're dealing with customers that maybe didn't understand solar. It was brand new. You were maybe the first person that ever came to their door.
Yeah.
What were the biggest objections then, and what are they now?
Yeah, I mean, like back then, the biggest one, the hardest one for us to get over was the moving objection. Like 5 years ago when we were doing this, the moving objection. Now that's like one of the biggest value adds, and I think people are starting to become cognizant and aware of the fact that solar does increase the value of your home. Solar is a selling point. It is going to help your home sell faster because, people got 2 big bills to pay in their home, their mortgage and usually their electric bill. So they realize the value of it. Back then, that was a hard objection. It was like, oh, my realtor said that if I move, there's a lien on my home and I'm going to get encumbered and I won't be able to sell my home. So we had to deal with that one a lot. That was a big one. So that was probably the biggest objection. The other ones were easy, no cost, obviously. I'd say the roof was another one, but we solved that. But I'd say moving was the biggest objection, which is funny because now it's one of the biggest value adds and one of the things that we focus on selling with solar.
Yeah, I would say we like that objection because it's easily solvable. We can show them the Pearl certification or whatever. It's the best thing because it means they're thinking about how to put value in their home and make sure that it's valuable to somebody else.
Yep.
And I know that's been a driving part for the brand too, is to make them feel at ease with that decision and knowing, the amount of service and experience they're going to get with us down the line. With back at when you first started, the timelines for solar, everything's changed.
Yep.
I was telling Trace the other day, it's like what's going on kind of in the metaverse and with NFTs. It's very similar to solar. It's like a minute in solar is, way less than it is in real life in any other industry. What types of timelines were you all dealing with? How did site surveys work? How did permitting work? Could you look at your pipeline? What was going on in your daily experience with your existing clients?
Yeah, well, we didn't really have any logins or any CRMs or anything. We used to go out there door to door and just write all the information down in a notebook. We'd write that down, we'd take a picture of it, and then we would email it over. And then that's how we would get things created. And we would schedule a site survey, and then the site survey would come out usually about 2-3 days later after meeting them. And then about 2-3 days after that, we get the plan. So anywhere from 4 to 5 days after meeting somebody is when I'd have a design to sit down with them. Now today, I can knock on a door, get their information, come back in 15 minutes with the design and sit with them. So the sales cycle, at least, has shrunk tremendously. As far as the permitting and all that timelines, I mean, they've gotten better in some cities, relatively, but yeah, I would say they've improved for sure. Like, especially in California, a lot of AHJs and permitting offices are getting better systems when it comes to installing solar, but the sales process was archaic, man, for sure. Like I haven't been selling as much in the position I am today, but man, I look at them like it's so easy. You just go out there, meet somebody, come back in 15 minutes, you got a design. We had to wait 4 or 5 days, so you think about, you meet somebody, they're interested in that moment, 4 or 5 days pass, it's a lot of time for them to think about it or get busy with whatever's going on.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the driving factors to where we're kind of pushing Better Earth today with the tech, with the tools, with the visibility is built on all of the experiences of our founders and leaders from all the companies you all have worked with in the past. And one of like our current updates now is like it's color coding in your pipelines. You can see deals that are flowing cleanly, deals that are stuck for whatever reason, and it's empowering you to stay in constant communication with your clients and make sure that you're giving them a great experience along with the company. And, even when I got started, it's like it was such a black box. There's so many factors that we wanted to improve, and now we're doing it. As a leader at Better Earth, do you struggle sometimes kind of showing new reps, showing people on our team, like how good it really is today versus how it was in the past? And what's been your best way to kind of showcase, that they have so many tools today and they should be able to do the volume that you wish you could have done back in the day because you had to spend time on all sorts of BS?
Well, people are impatient these days. You can click on your phone and get access to about any information, anything you want. Like if Wi-Fi is not working today, people get frustrated. So it's hard to like go back and like back in my day. I feel so old when I say it. I'm like, we used to have site surveys 4 to 5 days, but yeah, I mean, when we started Better Earth, like at the inception, the focus was 2 things. Like the reason we did it was we realized, hey, there's a big gap here in the quality of customer service and customer experience that we know that we can solve, and we can put the time and effort to figure this out, to do it better than everybody else. And then the other aspect of it is the salesperson. That's the one that's going to represent you and your company and your brand, and they're the one that's working with the customer face-to-face. And we're like, how do we provide the absolute best experience? Because all of us had done sales. All of us had done door-to-door. So we could look at the industry as a whole, and we said, how do we improve on these 2 things? How do we provide the best sales experience and also the best customer experience? So everything we do with tools and techs and softwares and bringing in our own in-home dev team that's building out our own softwares, everything that we're doing is to improve the quality of the sales experience for the sales rep, which in turn is going to make them happier, which is going to allow them to be and present themselves better to the customer. And then also all the other tech is to improve the process from when a customer signs up to go solar to when they get installed and actually activate and they get the benefits of it. So that's probably our biggest focus, and we work tirelessly on that every day. Every day matters. That's what we say at Better Earth. Every day matters, and we realize the industry is moving so damn fast that it's adapt or die. So we always got to be adapting. We always got to be innovating, and we never want to be in a position where we're looking at other companies and realizing that we're falling behind the curve. So we're always trying to innovate, and we're always trying to move and forward think.
Yeah, and one of the things with all of that is you kind of brought up the thing that I love telling people is we have 2 clients at Better Earth. One's the homeowner client. We got to be the best place for homeowner to go solar. Secondly, we have to be the best place for a brand new salesperson to think about, starting their career in solar with us, a sales leader, a company leader, as a sales partner of Better Earth. And that's a real huge driving factor for me personally. It's like there's so many experiences that I constantly want to keep making better and better, and we have an amazing team that helps all of us do so. And that's truly why I believe it is the best opportunity in solar and sales is working with us. What would you say to someone who's kind of maybe on the fence, or they just signed up for an opportunity webinar, or they're talking to one of the leaders on our teams, maybe it's a friend or someone they went to high school or college with? What would you tell them, if they asked, hey, Mikey, like why is this the best opportunity, not just in solar, but in sales?
Yeah. Well, first thing I'd say for anybody that like has that itch that they want to reach their potential and they have self-belief that they can be successful, you got to think about 3 things when you're going into business. 1, the industry. 2, the vehicle. And 3, the environment you're going to surround yourself by. So the industry, solar, it's a no-brainer. This is where we're headed. This is a crazy, fast-paced moving industry. It's like a gold rush right now. And I think more and more people are starting to see how big this industry is going to be and how fast it's growing. The second one is the vehicle. So when you look at the vehicle, it's like, what company are you a part of? What's the actual vehicle like? What's the opportunity for you? And with Better Earth, our number one focus is how do we create the best vehicle in the solar industry? We want to have the best culture, the best training, the best tech, the best platforms, the best installs, the best everything. And then the third is the environment, which that's the culture. That's the people you surround yourself with. And I think a lot of times people, they don't surround themselves by the right people or within the right company, so their success is limited. When you come in the door at Better Earth, we're like the success incubator, you know? We're going to give you everything you need to be successful. It's just up to you. Are you going to put in the work, and do you believe in yourself? You know, we do calls every day. We do trainings every single day. And, you know, some of these things are optional. Some of them, you know, we highly recommend. But it's really like, what are you willing to do, and what do you want to get out of the company? We have people that step in the door of the company at 20 years old, dropped out of college, that made $1 million in their first year. And that's a real thing. We have some people that come in and they make 6 figures, right? And they make just 100,000. It's really, what is the work that you're going to put in? So it's almost impossible to be in solar sales and not make 6 figure. You literally have to just not work. You have to not put in the result. You have to not participate. So we have the platform. We have literally the blueprint, rather, to come in, step foot in the door from day one. You don't have to know anything about solar. You don't really have to know anything about sales. We'll give you all the tools and everything you need to be successful.
What are some of those soft skills, though, that you're looking for if someone wanted to join your team directly? Like, because at the end of the day, some of these guys and girls that work with us, it's, you know, you want to work with someone that you, one, get along with, two, you're inspired by. What kind of skill sets are you looking for to join your team? Yeah,
I would say mindset's number one, work ethic, and then coachability. You know, I think those are the 3 things. If you got a good mindset, you got a positive mindset, and you have a good outlook on life, and you can handle problems, because I think in anything, right, you're going to have issues, you're going to have problems. It's like, what is your ability to stay positive, have a good mindset, and work through those solutions? 2 is their work ethic. You know, are you going to work hard? Are you going to go out there and be self-motivated to go out there and get the results? Nobody's going to force you to do it. You have to have that drive within yourself to want to go out there, get the results, go after your goals, and be focused on, like, your why of what you're doing every single day. Why are you going to get up early? Why are you going to spend time in the field? Why are you going to go out there and do more calls, do more follow-up, put in more work? And then the third is coachability. I think even for myself, this is something I try to, you know, rely heavy on, whether I'm learning from you or Trace or Zane or Sean or Zambo or Pat or Misha, like anybody in our business. And every day I'm also listening to podcasts, I'm reading books, I'm taking courses, I'm learning new information, because I realize that the more that I've learned, the more I've realized that I don't know much, you know? Like, the more information you get, the more you realize there's so much that's out there. So somebody's got a good mindset, they got a good work ethic, they're coachable, and also they're able to solve problems and not create problems. You know, those are kind of 4 of the main things that I look for. And then the communication's important, but we can teach a lot of that. You know, you can make a salesperson. Like Grant Cardone says, nobody's born a salesperson. I believe I was born a little bit of a salesperson, you know what I mean? But not actually, but I think I learned from a young age, like, how to sell and how to get what you want, you know, whether it's through crying or whatever, but yeah.
Yeah, and you just brought up an awesome point where it's like you can build yourself into a salesperson if you have that coachability, if you have that will to learn, and you've got the work ethic. Because even if you have everything, if you check every box, you're a dynamic personality, there's still going to be hurdles. There's still going to be bad days. There's going to be days where you call home or you call your friend, you're like, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah, for sure.
I remember Trace called me multiple times when he was out in San Francisco knocking doors and working, and you know, Trace is like the smartest person I know. He's got a super high work ethic, and you know, he's like, I don't know how these guys do it every day. And then he becomes a top producer. It's like he just kind of switched on. That. He figured out, you know, something that worked with him. I think he told me it was knocking with somebody else. Like, he needed a friend on the doors, and it got him to work at a higher work rate. And sometimes it's figuring it out for yourself, what works best. But I think now, as you said, we have so many amazing leaders that you can rely on to cover your deficiencies or just to learn from if you're open-minded. Yep. What were, and you kind of talked about these a little bit earlier on the sales side, what are some of those hurdles that you're kind of working through today, you know, managing a sales team of over 200 reps, multiple states, multiple leaders, recruiting, the industry's changing constantly. What are those hurdles that you're going through today? Because I think that's really what's helping us develop our company as a whole is we're here to fight through these things because solar doesn't turn off. There's no off days.
Yeah, right.
Take us through kind of what your days look like now.
Yeah, there is no off days. You know, if the phone rings, I'm gonna answer it. I'm gonna handle it. And I think that's just part of me still being young, 25 years old. I don't have a family, wife, girlfriend, anything right now. So like my number one focus is on my business. And there's new problems every day. I mean, you know, you gotta when you're building a sales team, you got to constantly be recruiting. You got to constantly have new people coming in the door. 2, you got to constantly be training people, developing them. And then 3, you have to be constantly developing leaders as well, right? So you're not only recruiting salespeople and training salespeople, then you got to build leaders, because a company can only scale as effective as its leadership and as its systems. So what I'm doing every single day is, from a high level, if I think about working on the business, I'm thinking, how can we create more systems? What can we do to create a system and create more leadership, and just more leadership playbooks, more systems, whether it's blitzes, whether it's lead gen, different styles of the business. How do we create more opportunity on the sales side and then on the leadership side? So that's kind of like working on the business. I do a lot with lead gen, training call centers, finding new lead providers, because I know the more we can do that, the more opportunity I can give my salespeople. And if I give them deals and I give them opportunities, all they have to do is go in and close. They'll have a lot of success, and I think a lot of people appreciate that, and I appreciate it, coming from a door-to-door background. So I think there's 2 things. One, working on the business. I'm also doing a lot of calls with you guys, a lot of exec calls, whether it's customer experience, sales experience, whether we're talking about sales and marketing, whether we're talking about operations, equipment, different updates. So I'm really kind of slightly involved in all these different areas in the business, because as sales, you have to understand what all these things are changing and where we're adapting, so you can teach the salespeople and you can be at the forefront of it all. And then a lot of my day is just fielding calls with people, and a lot of it is also doing training. So doing trainings every single day, I'm hopping on calls and then fielding calls from sales reps, whether they're having personal problems, whether they're having problems in the deal, whether they want help recruiting, whether they want some advice, you name it. They're calling my phone Monday through Sunday. I try to tell them, don't call me after 12 o'clock Eastern, because I'm on the East Coast, they're Pacific. So, but I still get a lot of calls, into the night. But I love it. I love everybody on the team. I love the guys and girls that we work with. So I'm always there.
Yeah, and I love that you brought up kind of the one thing on how much growth there is at our company. And what that really means is there's just so much opportunity across the board, not just for people in the industry, not just for people within our company as leaders now, but people that might listen to this, tomorrow, in a week, in a month, in a year. The way Better Earth works is you can come in and grab a leadership role, you can own it, you can grow, and you can become the most important person at the company, really, because we're still, and this is kind of my cheesy line I always tell everybody, we're as small as we're ever going to be today, and that's held true every single day that I've been at Better Earth since day one, and that's really cool. And I know some of our best leaders today, like Marshall and particularly Chance, they've lived that exact thing, is come in, take it, own it, build it, and grow, and they get an amazing support system led by you on the sales side to help them. Mike, let's kind of roll into what that leadership kind of role looks like at Better Earth. We're structured a lot differently. There's not regional managers, areas. There's not 6 months, 12 months of waiting time. How do you become a leader right now at Better Earth?
Yeah, love that question. So the reason we did it the way that we set it up with our structure is because the corporate setting and the corporate sales structure and what we saw in the industry, a lot of times what happens is there's one leader that's in that position for a long time, and whether there's up-and-coming leaders, there's not an ability for them to grow and expand their business and level up as fast as they want to. So what we did is we created more of an entrepreneurial platform within Better Earth where anybody can step up and become a leader as fast as they have the ability to do so. So there's no regional area director. It doesn't work like that. Everybody has an opportunity to build and scale their own team. So like right now, I'll give you a good example. We have Marshall and Chance that we talked about. Chance's team is called Smile Big. Now, obviously, he's within Better Earth internal, and then Marshall's is Infinite Growth, and they run their own teams within Better Earth, within our platform, and they're able to grow that as fast as they want to. And so the cool thing about what we did is we didn't want any politics. We didn't want any BS. We wanted, hey, if you're a leader, if we see potential in you and you see potential in yourself, you don't have to wait 2 to 3 years. You don't have to wait, to get a pay raise or to get this management or know the owners, know some politics. There's nothing of that involved in it. It's simply based off of your sole performance, your own deals, and then off your team performance. And if you can sell and build a team that outsells somebody that's been in the company, you can rank above them in our system and make more money. And so we've seen that. Chance came in and outranked everybody in the company in just 1 year, and it's a real possibility for anybody. So this is the interesting thing, I think, for us, that we're able to pick off leaders in the industry, and anybody that, whether you're in the industry or not, you see this opportunity of, hey, there really is no politics, there's no cap. I can come into Better Earth, and I can be the number one leader in that business.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different comp models, compensation models. There's a lot of different ways other companies, installers, sales dealers are organized.
Yeah.
What are some of the other, ways people are organized in solar, and why is our way the best?
Yeah, I mean, you got like a dealer owner, and then they're going to have their head salesperson, and then they'll have maybe their senior regional, and then their regional, and then maybe their ASM, and then they might have their team leads. And then those people are just kind of in those positions for a while. For us, we didn't want to have people stuck in that position or have somebody that's been that leader for 2 years when there's somebody better or that we can put more time, energy, and resources to that's going to help the company grow and help others grow around them. So that's why I'd say, number one, why it's better. And then two, there's just no cap. Like, you can scale as fast as you want within our system. And the cool thing is, since we're an installer, what we're able to do is we're able to take all the spread and all the margin from the dealership side of it, and we're able to kick that back to the salesperson. So we pay all the way down to base, but we pay that to the sales leader. So it doesn't matter if you're 6 months in or 2 years in, you can work your baseline down. And for people that might understand that, what that means is you can increase your margin just by doing more of your own volume and more team volume. So I think that's one of the unique things that we've been able to do as an installer. And we've realized people are entrepreneurial. They want that opportunity. They want that footprint. They want that roadmap. And so we said, why not create that for people within our own structure? We can do it exactly the way we want to. And it's what's allowed us to grow fast. And I think it's what's going to allow us to grow exponentially in 2022. I think we get this out and more people learn about how we have better structured. It's going to intrigue a lot of people.
Yeah, and the one thing I kind of like is, even though it's unstructured and there's not quotas and there's, no one's going to bump you up. You're going to bump yourself up. We do have super high expectations.
Yeah.
We have real leaders, not just in our company, but in the entire industry. Chance, Marshall, Josh, some of our leaders on our team are not just top 3, top 10 people at our company, but they're some of the best, literally the best people in the entire industry in the world. Chance might be the #1 sales rep in solar
he's definitely he's got the record, bro. That's for sure. I don't know anybody that's done those numbers.
Yeah. And, I think one of the biggest reasons is how we have our comp model set up, not just for leaders, but people walking in day one. Can you give a little bit of kind of a loose projection on, if you're someone that's sitting on your couch right now, you're thinking about joining Better Earth, at our next starting date, what could you conceivably make in your first 90 days? And how many ranks up? Like, how big of a leadership role could you tackle kind of in your first 6 months with us?
Yeah, I mean, your first 90 days, what you could make? I mean, and I know Chance did 200,000 in his first 3 months, and so I think that's kind of setting the bar for like entry level, never been in solar, step in the door. But I mean, solar's extremely possible to make 6 figures every single quarter. I would say, if I were to be conservative, it's like at least $50,000 in your first 3 months. Now, like in the first month, you're not going to get a lot of those installs, but if you put in a lot of the work and you get the results, you can get to that point 100% when the installs drop and you get your final payments. And what was the other question?
The other question is, if you are making 50 or 100,000, how many steps up in kind of our comp model, in our leadership, are you getting into? You're probably making your way into Champions Club, which we call Glass Club for a lot of regions.
Slap glass, baby.
We can get into.
A lot of these fools in the industry, they talk about their sales, man. I'm like, I don't care about your sales. How much installs are you doing? So we got Glass Club. It's all about slapping glass. You can go throw down a bunch of deals, but how many of those realize? Solar's a unique industry where a lot of sales people don't realize their job. See, the one thing that I could think I'd take crown on in solar is my realization ratio has always been above 90%. If I close a deal, they're going to do it. And if they ever try to cancel, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure it doesn't. So those are the principles we're trying to teach. It's all about how much glass you're getting installed, because you don't do anything good for the environment. You don't do anything good for your customer. You don't do anything good for yourself or your business or the business if you don't actually get that customer installed with the product at the end of the day. So signing a deal, it means absolutely nothing if that deal doesn't get installed. So, yeah, I would say one of the things, like you talked a little bit earlier, I want to touch on it, about having the no quotas and whatnot. What we do is we have so many incentives, so many competitions going on, so much activity, retreats, different things. And then we also have an exclusive club, which is the most exclusive club in solar. It's called the Glass Club, Champs Club. And what it is it's the group of people in our company that are the highest producers. You can get into it, and it's amazing because we have literally people getting in their first or second month of the business, closing 8 to 10 deals and getting into that. Like, a lot of people in solar aren't doing that. We have people coming in their first month doing 8 deals, 10 deals with their mentors, with their leadership, from the people we have on our team. So, like, whether you're new in solar or you have a lot of experience, when you step foot in the door, like, the bar's been set high. Chance does 68 deals. Like, the bar is set. So doing 10, 15, 20, it's like nobody cares, man. Like, do more, and that's where we're at right now. And that's an amazing thing that he's been able to do for our business. And people are in their 20s, and, obviously that's amazing, doing 20 deals in a month. We shout that out, but people are like, man, how do I chase that target? So I think it's with anything, it's like if you have a high bar set, you just go after that. And it's what kind of really drives the results. So it's been amazing, you know, to have that and not have to say, hey, you need to do 3 deals in a month. We don't have to push people. We don't have to force people to work. We're able to pull them and influence them and inspire them through the results that people in the company are getting.
Yeah, I think that's honestly my favorite thing about my day-to-day in Better Earth is seeing the progression of these brand new people just become a total pro, and, you know, their goals multiply, 10 over. And, I think that heightened expectation across the board, not just on our sales team, but on our install side and our employee side, and everyone is pushing the ball so forward to be the best in the industry at every single aspect. And, one of the other things I like to tell people is, like, Better Earth's the NBA of solar. We're going to teach you to be a pro. We're going to expect, a lot out of you. We're not going to put any pressure on you, but we're going to expect you to get really good. But it's not an expectation without any give on our side. We're going to give you all the energy we have in the world. We're going to give you the tips, the tools. You don't have to go through the pain we've gone through in building this thing. Like when you started solar, it's like we have so much to give. 100%. And if you give us even close to that energy back, you're going to be surrounded by such an amazing group of, high-level individuals that you will want to know for the rest of your life. You're joining a place that's got just amazing people that will have a bigger effect on you than you could ever imagine, kind of having an outside view. How has that affected you? Because, you talk to probably the most salespeople in the company, and, on the install side too, we're vertically integrated. How we all say, like, we have small circles,
yeah, but
our small circle is huge.
Yeah.
And that's super lucky, in my opinion. How do you kind of view yourself in this Better Earth circle?
Well, I mean, I know a lot of people in the industry, and a lot of really successful people in the industry, whether on the sales side or install side. And how do I view myself within the Better Earth circle of, like, what we have? Like, if I take everybody outside of the industry or outside of our company and just look at our company, I think I'm surrounded by literally the best people in the industry. So I view myself as a pivotal leader in the business, but somebody that's just learning and wanted to contribute to a bigger mission that we have here. Like, I'm lucky, I think a lot of people, they want to be entrepreneurs, they want to go do their own thing alone, and I know that quote where if you want to go fast, go alone, if you want to go far, go together. And so the team that we've built has been an amazing part. So for me, I think I'm a little bit of like the lifeblood and the heartbeat and the energy of the team. I'm always bringing in the energy, getting people motivated, getting them inspired, pumped up, ready to roll. And that's something I've always had. I've had a lot of ADD, high energy my whole life. Like, I'm ready to go. I want to win. I want to go to the next level. So I think just motivating that and pushing that, that standard of just, hey, go out there and every single day get shit done, because we have a massive mission as a company. And being surrounded by the team that we have, it's insane. You, Sean, Zane, Pat, Misha, Joe, Danny, everybody, Trace. I mean, the whole team, it's incredible for me to be surrounded by such skilled and talented people that are so passionate about what we're doing, and we're all on the same mission. And I would say, since we are the fastest growing installer in California, but right now, like, literally, I would say within the last few weeks, we positioned ourselves so well where we have an ability to scale. Operations is dialed in, our systems are dialed in, our marketing's dialed in, our logistics are dialed in, our tech's dialed in. Like, we're literally at the point where we're ready to press go. And so for me, how I view myself is, like, I got to bring in as many people, as many leaders into the business right now, because the systems are there, the operations is there. Now we need the leaders, now we need the people, now we need that lifeblood and that energy to get ourselves to be where we need to go. So that's my focus right now. Keep bringing the energy, and people are energy, man. So
yeah, and we are an absolute rocket ship right now. We are a rocket ship ready for passengers.
Up on board.
And the one thing I also like to say is, like, there's never been a better day to walk into Better Earth. Like, the value you get walking in day one, the systems, the tools, the tech, the people, and you can just make the choice and decide to join us on our rocket ship. Like, it's an insane opportunity that I wish I had when I was 19, 20, 21. And maybe my why wasn't to, be the top salesman or make a ton of money, but my why has always been to learn and develop a skill set. What are some of the biggest reasons someone should, make that choice, even if they don't know what they want to do in the future? Like, hey, Mikey, I don't really know what I want to do. I don't know if I want to do solar or sales. How can they use solar as a vehicle to maybe learn more about themselves and maybe clear up their why for their future?
Yeah, I'd say it's one of the best vehicles where you're surrounded by people who want to get better, and they're going to push you to become the best version of yourself. I think everybody uniquely is interested in that. how do I become a better version of me? How do I reach for my potential? Whether solar is the industry you want to be in, whether it's sales, it's going to give you skills and it's going to give you training and it's going to put you in an environment and a culture around people that will help you become better. I think for most people in life, the issue is confidence and belief, right? To go after what you want. And what we'll do is we will make you more confident. That I can guarantee. And hopefully we will drive more belief in you. I think a lot of people struggle from a lack of confidence and a lack of belief to go after what they want. So they don't really believe that they can go get what they want. And their why that might be pulling them, whatever it is, or whatever their goals are, whatever the rewards that they want for themselves in life and wherever they envision themselves, they don't truly believe that they can do it, and they don't have the confidence. So I would say if solar's not your end-all, be-all, you want to go do your own business one day, you want to be successful in real estate, crypto, whatever it is, and you need an opportunity, a vehicle that's going to put you literally one step forward and get you to where you need to be, I'd say that's the big reason. And I've had that a lot of times. Not everybody stays with me, man. Like, I've been in this for 6 years, and a lot of people aren't, a lot of people aren't here. I would say within Better Earth, like, we have that pretty down. Like, not a lot of people leave, which is crazy. If you look at the retention rate that's not a word, retention rate in solar, like, it's crazy, man. It really is a lot of these companies, and we've done an extremely good job at that because we freaking care, man. Like, we really do care. Like, I care about these people so much. Like, this is my family. You know what I mean? Like, these are my brothers, like, and my sisters. Like, this is, like, I love you guys. I love everybody on our team, and we put that care in. So if you step foot in the door, you represent us. You represent us as a brand. Like, we're not going to let that person down, and we're not going to let that person leave the company worse than they came in. Like, you're going to leave better off, and you might not realize it in the moment, but you'll realize what you've learned and how that's propelled you in life. And I think that's the coolest thing. I look at myself not just like I'm running solar or sales team, but I'm personally developing and I'm helping individuals grow, and that's something I'm really passionate about.
Yeah, and kind of what you brought up, that Better Family, I think we've got over 160 employees now. At this point last year, I think we had less than 50, or less than 60 at least. Being vertically integrated might be something that maybe someone on this podcast doesn't know exactly what that means. But in solar, what that means is that we do everything as a part of this job. The sales process, the install process, the engineering, the permitting, the inspection. We do literally everything at Better Earth, and that's really rare. Can you kind of display exactly how rare that is for a company like ours? We're not a dime a dozen. We're very special, and even I'm still learning like how special that is to have a sales team that does the sales we do, but also to be on the install side and be the fastest growing installer in the country, as you mentioned. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think. The quality of your business is the quality of the communication, whether it's a person to person, a person with the technology you're using, or tech to tech, right? Like, we have softwares that talk to each other. We have people that talk to, softwares to get it to do things, and then you have people that communicate with each other. So it's like that communication is so important. And when you're vertically integrated, like, there's so many moving parts and so many different systems and people communicating to get one project through in solar. It's actually crazy when you break it down. So to have a sales team that's vertically integrated within our own installer, it allows us to have a really high quality of communication, which gives a better experience for everybody. And I think it's unique because a lot of companies are not in unison, they're not in sync, they're not building on that same mission and vision. A lot of sales companies are just using an installer here and there. They want to go get a better deal, or this person is going to sell them, they're going to give them a better opportunity, and they're just kind of hopping around this industry. And it's created almost this volatile aspect of the industry where nobody's really thinking, how do you build the best company long term? And I think this is a big way that we do it, and it's the quality of that communication that we have, I think, is, big over most companies that I've seen. And I have a lot of friends in the space, and I know a lot of people, and I know the issues. And it's like, when we give feedback, right, like, we listen, and I think that's important. Like, when our sales team gives feedback, like, we listen. Like, we get on calls every week, sales ops, and me and Ty bring the heat. We're like, hey, here's all the damn feedback. And then operations is like, all right, that's valid or not valid. And if it's valid, we're going to work on the solution. And then we're able to come back to the team on a call and say, hey, guys, we got your feedback. Here's the solution we came with. There you go. So when people want to be listened to, they want to be heard, and they want to participate. And if you don't have that for them, they're going to be disinterested. And I think that's what's happening with most dealer-installer relationships. There's no synchrony. There's no participation. So there's no loyalty. There's no loyalty. There's nothing long-term. There's nothing genuine.
Yeah, and on that point, we're not really trying to copy any people. We're on our second path. We're not looking at other solar companies to be like, hey, I hope we get to be, their level. How did they do it? We're doing it our way, and our way is respecting our two clients that we talked about earlier, sales client, homeowner client, and that communication, that constant 24/7 communication of where we're going strategically, how we're going to build in this department or this area of the country or whatever. We're so dialed in where we're going now that I have full confidence in, as we go from 160 employees to 1,000 to 10,000 employees, like, we are going to win this industry. We are going to be the company that people look back on 40, 50 years and like, Better Earth got us there quicker. Yep. They are the people that made renewable energy normal and cool and fun. Yep. And that's what drives me, is when I look back in 20, 30 years, did we make solar cool? Did we make it fun?
Sustainability is sexy.
Did we make it easy? Because if we did, it's going to be on every fucking roof in the country and soon on the world. And that impact is going to be just amazing.
Yeah. And to add a little bit on you too, like, I think even with us bringing on sales partners and different, like, whether we get partnerships in sales companies or roofing companies or HVACs or whatever it is, we don't look at it like, hey, we're just a fulfillment. Let's just fulfill your jobs. It's like, we're a growth partner, like you say all the time. Like, we're here to build with you, to grow with you, and to do that. And I think that's so important, that collaboration, right? There's so much competition. Everybody's, says this and that, and they want to be the best. And we're like, hey, you're good. You're good at what you do. Let's collaborate. Let's not compete. Let's collaborate, because if we work together, like I said earlier, you go further when you work together with people. So, like, that's our focus. It's like, we want to dominate, and we're going to, and we already are. But we know the fastest way to dominate the industry is to collaborate with people that are winning. So we're interested, whether you're an internal sales leader, sales partner, you run a roofing company, HVAC, whatever it is that we can do to build our business and help you guys build your business. Like, we're interested. We're interested in talking. Like, let's communicate on it. Figure out how we can blow up.
Yeah, we're open for business. We're open to collaboration.
24/7, 7 days a week.
Anybody that's interested, we've got some energy for you, and you'd be joining an amazing family if you do decide to make the choice, because everybody will. If it's not today, and you're not going to become a sales rep or a sales partner, you will be a homeowner partner of ours down the line. So everyone's going to work.
Everybody's going solar one day. Would you agree? Exactly. Come on, man. Like,
I agree.
I think there's some people that are still disbelievers in renewable energy, and I break it down a simple way. I'm like, what do you think's better? Digging things up from the ground, putting it through an outdated grid, and shipping power to the home hundreds of miles away that actually pollutes the environment, or using your roof, using land, and using the sun that comes out every single day. Whether you see it or not, it's out every day. If it's not, the world's not here. So, like, solar makes sense. You don't have to sit here and argue, which a lot of people do. It just makes sense from a financial standpoint, from an environmental standpoint. It is the future, and there's no denying it. And you can see how fast the industry is growing. So it's cool, like, to even be in a place like Florida and see how fast that it's growing here. Even a place like Texas, to see how fast. And Texas has deregulated energy, right? They're a huge oil, state, but they're growing so fast in solar because people are just realizing it just makes more sense. It makes more sense. The sun comes out every day. I'm going to get my power from it, and it makes more sense financially. So if you're doing the right thing for the environment and you're doing the right thing for yourself financially, it's a no-brainer. Solar sells itself, and that's why I love it. I'm like, people are like, I could never sell solar. You might be scared of this opportunity. Man, all you need to do is build a relationship with that person, because solar sells itself.
I love it. Last thing to wrap this thing up. If you were talking to a 17, 18-year-old Michael Cavaleri, and you hadn't heard about solar yet, and you got him on the phone, what would you tell him?
Man, I would say about solar, what would I tell him?
Tell him you got an opportunity. How do you pitch that opportunity?
How do I pitch that to him? To myself at that young age? Man, I don't know if I would have listened, dude. I was drinking so much then and doing the wrong things, and I was in my head like a lot of people. But I think I was waiting for an opportunity, honestly, though. So what I would tell him is, hey, listen, I know you have a lot of potential. I know that you really want to be successful one day. It's all about finding that right industry, that right vehicle, and that right environment. If you can do that with the belief you have in yourself, then you'll be really successful. And solar is that industry. Better Earth is that company. And the people that you're going to surround yourself with are the people that are going to help you get what you want in life, and these people that are going to take you to where you need to go in life and allow you to achieve your goals and become successful. And I would also tell them that, hey, I know you want to have a big impact. I know that in 4th grade you did that project on global warming. Your mom won't let you forget it. I did the Al Gore. I did the whole thing, and I did the whole presentation, my laser pointer, and I thought it was so cool. And I've always been interested in this, so I think and I wasn't cognizant of it, but it's like, it's something I am passionate about. And so if you can do something you're passionate about, you'll put that work and that potential to work for you, and you'll get results, and you become really successful. So you hear it all the time. Do what you're passionate about. I know you're passionate about solar. I know you're passionate about renewable energy. I know that you're going to be a goddamn good salesman because you can't shut your mouth and you talk your ear off and you're very hard to argue with. So you'll be good at sales because you all like to get your way. So take the leap of faith and join this company. It'll change your life forever, man.
I love that. You might have been a 2 or 3 touch close, but you'd have got
I might have been.
the deal.
Yeah, I might have been. I might have been like, yeah, man. Give me
It's a funny presentation. Just to not to keep going, but I was actually Galileo in a school project. He just reminded me of that, and it's like maybe that was the first time I was thinking about the outside, and I feel like we all have that kind of connection to wanting to do good, wanting to be better, and wanting to join a rocket ship. You know, if it's not going to be now, it's going to be sometime when you're inspired, and if you're not feeling that inspiration, maybe when you're watching this, maybe watch it again, maybe DM Mikey or DM Chance or DM me or whatever, and we're here to talk. We're here to help inspire you and help you find your path.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right, Mikey.
Appreciate it,
man. Good work. Nice first podcast.
Thanks for having me on, brother. That was awesome.
Only took 6 takes. Good job.
All right.